Oh yeah, welcome to this special edition of the Cyber Ranch via Simplifying Cyber. I am Alan Alford. Or am I?
You are not, sir.
Oh boy.
What?
So, Alan, this is an interesting way to have a podcast. Have you ever talked to yourself on your own podcast before?
I have not. I've talked to myself in the bathroom mirror is about it.
Hey, that's something. So,
Stuart Smalley style.
Kind of breaking it down, we've done a lot of very challenging deepfakes, and I would say your look, your style, especially the hat, is a bit challenging. We can already see, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, we can see some distortion happening here in the foreheadal region. And then what we've learned through our experience is bangs and crazy hair and full hair that's maybe covering a good portion of the top of the head is kind of a deterrent to deepfake. So what we learned on this one, and you can see my voice is a little bit lagging, there's a little bit of a delay when you think about deepfake. Sometimes if you're doing the audio along with it, it kind of more matches up, that can be timed. But we have very different heads and hairlines, and just to kind of show, when I pull the hat off, the eyes get a little less quirky.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so Cody, if you're wearing a hat most times, or if you're George Kamid on Bare Knuckles and Brass Tacks,
Great call out there.
probably going to be tough to pull off the deepfake.
Right.
But just
Yeah.
to show a little bit more, Alan, you wear your hat a little bit lower, and as you can see here,
Whoa.
that's not a good look for deepfakes.
No, that's
But it
about
is a
where I
good
wear
look
mine.
for you. So we're gonna let you continue to rock your look. I'll go ahead and switch my cameras here, and we'll go ahead with our show and get down to some details on. We want to cover AI. We want to cover deepfake, kind of the protective side of threats in AI, as well as like how do you enable businesses with AI. Lots of good thoughts. But Alan, while I'm flipping over, why don't you go ahead and give the listeners a little bit of a overview that haven't met you yet of kind of where you've come up through cyber and what you're doing now.
Yeah, so Alan Alford here. Been a CISO more times than is healthy. Been in the industry far longer than is healthy. But here I am anyway, continuing to do it because it's my passion and my love. I'm currently CISO at NTT Global Data Centers, which is the third largest data center company on planet Earth, owned by NTT Data. It's a subsidiary of NTT Data. And we are facilitating the AI revolution, both from providing the data center space, but also as a company, NTT Data is doing some amazing stuff with AI as well. So I'm really keen on AI, and the intersection of AI and cybersecurity is kind of my passion these days.
That's awesome, man. Great to hear. So kind of talk about, the broader scale. I saw, we kicked it off here, and out of the gate, we saw Aaron with the deep fake. But, I mean, now that we saw this on this podcast, what are some broader ways that deepfakes can be used? I mean, what are you seeing out there?
So I've seen some crazy stuff. So the video, obviously, as we saw, I deliberately blurred my camera a little to match a little better, and I had to do that. My image was a lot sharper than the deepfake was. But that's not to say there aren't deepfakes that aren't sharper. There's a lot of different deepfake technologies out there. The audio deepfaking, I think, is far more compelling right now than the video when it comes to cyber attacks. We are seeing both individual people and companies targeted. The old types of fraud that we used to have with the fake SMS from the CEO, or the fake voicemail, or the fake or the fake email or whatever, is now being supplanted by fake voicemail, which sounds just like him, or fake actual video interaction, or audio phone call, live call. Like, there are all kinds of ways that you can mimic both audio and video, and as a result infiltrate an organization. There's stories of, hey grandma, I'm trapped in Mexico and need you to wire me $2,000.
Yeah.
On up to this is the CEO, I need you to change the account for this $1 million account and transfer the funds to this other bank today instead, because they, whatever the story might be. There's a lot of fraud, there's a lot of fakery, there's a lot of people falling for what seems to be and appears to be the real deal, and it's in fact not. Both audio and video, more and more this is coming out politically and socially. We're seeing faked videos, of the sort that get, Facebook becomes this hotbed of false information on all sides, right? Like every left, right, middle, up, down, whatever, end up spamming this stuff that some of which is not fact-checked or validated in any way. Well, now they're doing it with videos too, and it's like, oh, but look, I saw the video. I know for a fact the president said blah blah blah.
It's right here.
That wasn't him.
It's right here. It's right here. Like, hold on.
That was not him. That was not him at all. So these kinds of things are happening as well. There's just a lot of cultural, societal, financial, personal impact, and there's a cybersecurity bent to protecting from all of those things.
Yeah. Well, and we do a lot of awareness type 2 things. And I think even just the fact that, to your point, it can be done is even still unknown. Because, there are times I'll be in the car or bad Wi-Fi at the hotel and there's face glitching and stuff. So, but I think even knowing that this exists is a big thing. Because to your point, I could probably get past, even if Aaron's not as sharp or as clear as you, unless I know this is the thing that could happen.
Right.
I'd still probably fall for that's a little glitchy, but things happen in signal and video and so forth. So.
Well, and humorous update, just because we try to record a live show and not do any post-production, apparently in Riverside, which is the platform that we use, we get a little message that you can turn off the camera while you're recording, but you can't switch. So you guys are stuck with Deepfake Allan for the remainder of this episode.
This is a very special episode. This is
all right. It's disturbing. Every time I look at that square on my screen, I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's so weird. It looks like me.
This is great, man. This is great. So,
welcome to the show, Jackson, Deepfake extraordinaire. We're going to actually just turn off the. Oh, let's see what happens. It's stuck on. Fake Allan cannot be destroyed.
Oh man!
Curse you, fake Allan. Curse you.
That's fine. Let's try that. As a hack, we're going to turn on my deepfake model to deepfake myself and see if I can become myself with my own model. This is getting like Inception level details.
Oh, this is Aaron faking Aaron.
Oh,
wow!
But look at the difference, though, Aaron and Allan. Like,
man,
that's so crazy.
There you go. All right, we're back.
That's wild. That really did look like me. I mean, I could see somebody, especially with the cowboy hat on, like just putting out some video, and everyone's like, "But I saw it. Allan said it."
Well, in real time, a lot of these deepfake threat actors, this started in a lot of the romance scams and getting people to jump on WhatsApp video or try to, convince somebody that they're having a relationship, and then live interactions, and then the money's coming. So unfortunately, it's kind of, as you were alluding to, Allan, it's transitioned to all sorts of social engineering, including financial crime with corporations and information loss and things like that. So I'm actually personally, I think the video deepfake is compelling, and there are examples of it being used in a number of attacks. But to be honest, I'm more nervous about audio deepfake because you pick up a phone and you sound like the CEO, and 100%. It's verbatim, and you even put a local area code as you're trying to get a number to look legitimate to somebody who's calling from an office phone. It just gets really tough for employees.
But I want to go back to what you just said. You're telling me my aunt is not in fact dating Brad Pitt?
Hey, you know what? I don't want to cast any shade on your aunt. I'm not saying there's not a chance, but let her live her life. No, don't.
Man,
awesome. Well, let's kind of transition to Allan. You've had a illustrious career, as you mentioned. You've been on the CISO side a couple times. You've hung your own shingle from a consulting standpoint, and now you're back in a bigger and better CISO role. So I'm curious, as you've made that journey kind of on all sides of the table, what has been your perception of the importance of the human element or the workforce in cybersecurity and kind of balancing that tech with the people and process?
Yeah, so at a high level, right off the bat, I'll say this, and you alluded to it, but I've been a vendor as well, right? And I think it's super important for folks to recognize that the vendor-CISO relationship is a human relationship, right? Like one of the biggest problems we have in this cybersecurity industry, and David Sparks got a whole podcast just about this, but the whole idea that there's hostility between the CISOs and the vendors, and the reality is without one another, neither one of us can thrive, right? Like if I don't have the tools to deploy, I'm incapable, and if they don't have a CISO to sell to, they're incapable. And it's a human relationship, right? Cybersecurity is ultimately about humans. It's about protecting humans. It's about furthering human goals and agendas and interests, and protecting us from the bad humans. I mean, at the end of the day, we talk about technology all the time, but it's really human 360 degrees around. It really is. Yeah. The ecosystem, the vendors, the industry, the players, the team who has to stay up late and work the incident. I mean, this is all a very, very, very human experience. And it's vital that we keep that in mind and remember that as we run around talking about all the technologies we talk about all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Totally agree. So, I mean, totally, you said humans. I mean, I think that's spot on. I mean, why do you think, from what we're seeing right now, we talked to a lot of CISOs and there's challenges. Some is exec buy-in, but what do you think the challenges of like the underinvesting in workforce facing efforts?
So it's a thing. It's a real thing. We treat October, coming up, right? Cybersecurity Awareness Month every year. We treat it like I've seen companies that do nothing more than slap up a few posters in the break room, right?
Yeah.
The human component in cybersecurity training and awareness, it's called awareness for a reason. Machines, until such a time as Skynet occurs, even AI is not self-aware.
Man, Skynet, what a great
awareness is a human trait. We call it security awareness, and awareness is 100% a human trait, 100%. Yeah. So we have to do more. We have to think more. We have to be more. We have to educate the humans on all the cybersecurity things in a way that's engaging, informative, that hits them where they live and treats them like human beings. One of the most successful things I've ever seen, and in fact we do this at NTT, is very often cybersecurity awareness training ties into not just you in the workplace protecting the company, but also, oh, by the way, at home, this is exactly the kind of thing you're going to run into too. This problem we're talking about at work also exists in this format in your personal life. Be on the lookout for it. Look out for it. When holidays come around, the holiday gift card scams and these kinds of things, it's important to alert employees and rope them in and show them where these things matter in their daily human lives outside of the workplace. If you can't engage them at that level, you're going to lose their interest at some point. And at the end of the day, the workforce is absolutely our strongest set of allies. I loathe when CISOs say that the human beings in the workforce are the weakest link.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Or
They're
they
the
don't
strongest
matter.
ally.
You'll never fix their behaviors. So let's just try to automate our way out of it.
Right.
I will be person number one signing up for that bus if it is legitimate and it's leaving the station. But we've yet to see it yet. The technology is outpacing, the threat technology is outpacing the detection technology. Mm-hmm. So until we get to that world, I don't know if we ever will. We need to also be investing in the human and processes and bringing it all together.
Yeah, we need our allies. We need our allies. And guess what? There's a whole office building filled with them wherever you work. Those are allies. Those are your allies in cybersecurity. If you can rope them in, get them engaged, get them interested, educate them enough on what the threats are, and give them some really basic stuff to deal with those threats. Sometimes security awareness is nothing more than contact us at this number, at this email. Anytime anything's weird, just reach out. Right?
Yeah.
If you can just get that message across and have a central receiving email, phone, help desk, hotline, whatever it might be, that alone is miles beyond not doing anything. And from there, once you get the workforce used to that, you can start to educate them more on even self-awareness and self-solutioning and things like the anti-phishing training, click the report button in your email and these kinds of things, right? But just start with, if you have nothing to start, just start with, here's the central contact information, here's what fishy looks like. If you see fishy, reach out to that central contact information. I mean, just that. If you can just get that across the fence and do it in a way that's engaging and fun, the boring annual blah, 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 blah training that people try to fast forward through isn't the way.
Yeah.
Micro learnings, quick, fast, easy stuff, fun, engaging stuff, goofy jokes, cartoons. I've seen so many vendors do different takes and approaches that are all doing one thing, and that is appealing to the human.
Yeah. Well, question two, thinking about is there a name issue with the word awareness? Does it not sound like offensive enough or defensive enough? Or is it because to me, I live and breathe it. So do you and Aaron. We know this really well. But to the lay non-cyber person, is it oh, that's awareness. That's nice to know. But I don't need to be aware. I mean, do we have a naming problem? You see here human risk management, security training. But what are your thoughts there?
There's a lot of new names for the category in the industry. Human risk management is one of my favorite ones for sure. And I've got friends that own a startup in that space and are doing exactly that. But I don't think awareness is a bad term. I think awareness gets a bad rap, not so much from cybersecurity, but from we're back to Facebook and the social culture. Raising awareness. There's all these people out there that all they're doing is raising awareness and nothing actually changes, right? And I think that's where awareness gets a bad rap. I'm here raising awareness for whatever my social cause of the week is.
Yeah.
Pat myself on the back. I posted a video telling people it existed. Ooh, did anything change? Did anyone invest? Did anyone, that's not the same thing. Just awareness is never enough.
Yeah.
But I think in cybersecurity, it's a great first step.
Yeah. And Alan, I was excited about HRM and human risk management. We've had a couple of experts on the show that define that category as more of like the analytics and reporting to segment your workforce and better action. So, that may be a subset, but like based upon your words and Cody, you're kind of concerned of like awareness is only the knowing. We need the doing. So maybe something like cyber human enablement or cyber risk human enablement. There's something about the action that I think we're missing.
It's two words. It's like there's the educate part and there's the empower part. I need to educate you on what is out there and what to look out for.
Yes.
But then I need to empower you, Alan, to your point about like, here's a look at what looks bad. This is bad. Got it. There it is. Okay. Now that I saw said bad thing, what do I do with that knowledge now? And that's the empowerment of is it a report button? Is it tell your colleague type thing? But I think that's another part too. That kind of brings it full circle of beyond just the education part.
Here's what you can do to own the fix, right? That's it. And human beings, I'm a very positive person. I am. And I always believe humans have community interest at heart and not just self-interest. I believe that humans want to do the right thing. I believe that humans want to earn what they have for the most part. I mean, obviously there's exceptions all throughout society. But for the most part, I believe humans are in the game for the right reasons. And so they're hungry. They want a thing that they can do. They want to be able to do the thing and fix the thing and solve the problem and address the need. And if you give them that, it's the old, if you build it, they will come.
No, it's fair. So speaking of building it and they coming, Alan, do you have some examples of like some of the favorite things you've done across the companies you've managed from a cyber standpoint when it comes to October, or forget about October? Like, it shouldn't be once a month where we kind of come into action. We've been doing a lot of stuff with deepfake and physical and virtual scavenger hunts and really trying to, be fresh and not commodity and not out of the box. The out of the box stuff is good for a purpose. But curious on your thoughts of like where have you pushed the needle in this space?
Yeah, I've seen some really fun stuff with cybersecurity escape rooms, virtual escape rooms. I've seen, that as a more recent kind of thing. I've seen that one fun. But I'll tell you personally from my own past, one of the best things I ever did, and this is going to sound so goofy and so stupid, but it was so successful. We made a plaque, and the plaque was nothing more than the piece of wood with the clear plastic in front that you could slide an 8.5 by 11 into, and voila, you had a plaque. It was just a blank piece of wood with an acrylic face and slide a piece of paper in there, a standard size sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And on that standard size sheet of paper, it literally just had a big smiley face, and it said, "My cybersecurity team loves me." And it was signed by me and had the date. And anytime anybody went out of their way proactively to anything in the interest of cybersecurity, they got issued one of these plaques.
Nice.
And it became a thing people wanted. The whole company was like, "Oh, how did you get that? I want one of those. That's so cool." And it was just this goofy plaque with a smiley face. And all of a sudden, people are asking me, "What can I do to earn one of these? How do I help?" And I started creating champions in every single department of the company over nothing more than these goofy plaques. It works. And it was a very human thing, I like to be loved, and I like to be able to show off that I'm loved, and look at this silly thing that makes everyone laugh when they walk by my desk. Like that was it.
Little validation.
Yeah, that was it. And it worked. It absolutely worked.
Awesome. Well, let's expand beyond, deepfake and cyber threat and how we're working with our employees to, get them more engaged in cyber. Let's expand the conversation to artificial intelligence. And obviously, for as much as the bad guys and the cyber criminals are using AI through deepfake and automating attacks and, human heuristics and languages and all of that, just making it much easier to be bad. Let's talk about being good in the world and kind of your stance on AI and some of the things that you're doing to really enable your workforce to take advantage in safe ways the new technology.
So at NTT Data, we have something really cool that I think most companies don't have. We have a chief AI officer who is rather high ranked in the company, and by rather high ranked, I mean it is our CEO has actually taken on the dual hat of chief AI officer. He is pushing this agenda through the entire organization, 100%, all the way from the top, right? Amazing. I can't name which tools. Obviously, we never talk vendors and specific tools, but we've got a couple of different things we're doing in terms of the tooling, and I say more than a couple because, in terms of LLMs, there's a couple, but also agentic is all kinds of cool stuff going on all over the place.
Yep.
But one of the things that we did at NTT that I walked in the door and this already existed because I worked at NTT before, and then I went and did some things and I came back, right? I can't quit NTT for real, right? And I came back and found out we had launched this AI academy. And it's like, white belt, yellow belt, this kind of thing. Mandatory for every single employee in the company.
Wow.
Just like cybersecurity awareness training is mandatory, AI awareness training is mandatory. And not just awareness training, but how-to training. Like these things get very practical and very concrete. And I am personally on the ELT at Global Data Centers. I'm sort of the AI champion, if you will, and I'm the one who's been getting people licenses and training folks on what to do and giving examples. And we've got an ELT meeting coming up in just a couple of weeks. And I have deconstructed the entire data center industry and all the nooks and crannies where AI can benefit us, and kind of a talk to sort of get everybody in the room, regardless of their role and function, lit up and going, whoa, I can do that. I go, ooh, let's go explore that deeper.
Yeah.
And some of my stuff may be fluff, and it may not come to fruition, but I've come up with something for literally every department in the room to at least get them thinking like, oh, we could do something like this, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, when you talk about agentic AI, data centers are an incredibly physical environment, right? I always joke about, you know, people talk about cloud and, you know, the OSI layers and all this, and I'm like, we're layer 0.
Yeah.
We are dirt, concrete, power, water, like we are layer 0, plus internet connectivity, obviously, so we're more than that. But, you know, a data center is a very physical concept, and as a result, there's a certain sort of physicality and practicality to everyone's mindset in the data center industry. And so it behooves us to look at AI not just in terms of all these software solutions and cloud and SaaS and all the other cool jazz, but also what is going on in the physical world with AI.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, is there some amazing stuff out there now in terms of, like, I mean, you name it, robots, cameras, assembly lines, vacuum cleaners, you know, just body cameras, and I mean, construction time analysis, and you can actually look at a construction site and have the entire model that was predetermined and built, you know, because the model exists before the building exists, right?
Sure, yeah.
And you can actually have somebody with a body cam walk around that construction site and validate to the millimeter that what's being built matches the model, and where it's not matching, immediate flag, let's deal with this. Why are we 3 millimeters over on this particular strut, or, you know, whatever the story might be. You can get down to the millimeter level of accuracy with AI and spot the defects, spot the deltas, and address immediately, right? I mean, just crazy stuff like that. Assembly lines and motherboard manufacturing and security cameras and drones and all of these things. The physicality of AI is something that a lot of us forget about, but there is so much innovation going on in that space right now.
Yeah, and I think too, with all that drive and innovation, and to your point, like, challenge, figure out how to use it. It's like, also, while doing that, here's this go fast, but here's some light bubble wrap as you're doing that. So, like, let's go fast, but how, you know, how's that challenge gone? I mean, to your point, as a leader in AI and as a CISO of this in NTT, it's got to be a challenge, you know, it's like with around AI governance too. So how's that going?
There's a reason that I chose to be the AI champion, coming from the cybersecurity perspective. You know, the default knee-jerk reaction, just like we talked about the knee-jerk, you know, the humans are the weakest link kind of statements that so many of us in the industry make. There's a big backlash against AI in the cybersecurity industry.
Sure.
And I wanted to be the one to be the forward observer, be the champion, be the one pushing for progress, being the one pushing for change, and champion this stuff as much as humanly possible. Obviously, with the same message of let's be careful, folks, right? To your point, light bubble wrap, guardrails, if you will, is good enough, right? Like I want you to speed down the highway, but I don't want you going over the cliff, right?
I once heard someone say, it was like, I don't want to slow you down, I want to give you faster brakes.
So yeah, and this is the analogy I always use is, if you're a professional race car driver in a Formula One race, your brakes are as much for slinging your butt around a corner as they are for slowing you down, right? Like brakes, good high-end brakes go with good high-end engines for a reason, right? They're a tool for the driver. They are. They're a safety measure, but they're also an accelerator at times. They're a lot of things, but being the brakes on the train, you know, I always tell my team, one of my mantras is never be in the business prevention business, right? Like, you don't ever want to be the lone individual standing in front of the railroad train rushing at you, like.
Yeah.
You can't win being that person. You will always get smeared on the tracks, right?
Well, early in my career, I was in audit, and obviously audit's about finding the bad things from happening. But what I realized is, like, you're finding process gaps and opportunities to change the way that they're doing. But I told people, look, you can pretty much do anything in business that you want as long as you have the right controls. And I think, Alan, that really kind of correlates to your brakes example. Like, we're not slowing down here. We are actually going faster by slinging through the corner and the turn, so that you're able to do what you want without kind of crashing into the wall or going completely off course.
Yeah, and you know, people talk about AI and what's the challenge and what are we facing and what do we do? Like, it's always in that sort of paranoid security context of, oh my God, what do we do about AI? And my answer is always double down on humanity. If you want to know where the best breaks are, just like we talked about with security awareness, we're right back to that same story with AI. AI has to be trained. It has to be trained by humans. Humans have to deploy it ethically, and deploy it with human considerations and factors in mind. Human goals are ultimately what it's there to achieve. Not AI is not there to achieve its own goals. Why do we have it? It's a tool to serve us. Okay, who is us? Us is the humans. Let's think this through from the human perspective. What training is required of us and of the tool? What training is required to drive usage of the tool? What training is required to enhance the tool? What data do we and don't we feed it? All of these are human conversations and human questions, and in some sense, they're really no different than the cybersecurity human conversations we've been having for years and years and years. You know,
Yeah.
and this is a big thing for me because I'm actually working on a book now.
Nice.
And
Excellent, man.
the fundamental premise of the book is this: AI is not the only technology revolution we have experienced as human beings. Go back in time. We had the internet revolution. We had the cloud revolution, which wasn't as big a deal, but we had the PC revolution. We had the mainframe revolution, just the fact that computers existed at all. We had the telephone and radio and TV. Electricity didn't used to exist. Cars didn't used to exist. Every one of these things introduced great social change, and every single time, railroads is another good example. Every time one of these events occurs, what you see is two sets of people at the beginning of whatever the revolution might be. One set is decrying it, saying it's going to be the end of all things, and the other one is saying, no, it's going to solve all the problems. And the truth is always somewhere in between, right?
Oh, yep.
And one of the big concerns is always jobs, and one of the big concerns is, you know, cultural impact and ethical concerns and all these kinds of things. And what are you talking about when you're talking about ethical concerns and jobs and financial impact? You're talking about humans. You're talking about the humans making it happen, the impact to the humans that it's happening to. This is always a human conversation. And so it's super important to step back and remember that as a species, we've always survived every one of these revolutions. And the overall trend that has, you know, appeared in almost every case is, yes, certain jobs are lost. Like, go all the way back to the original Industrial Revolution and the Luddites, right? The Luddites, for those not familiar, these were the folks who were the artisans who handcrafted, you know, weaving type stuff. And then the industrial looms got invented, and all of a sudden these guys got displaced, and it was a real big deal. Like, I'm losing my job. Oh, and they revolted, and they marched into factories and smashed machines. And the Luddites were these, you know, they got written up long after the fact in history. If you hear the word Luddite, it tends to be perceived as just anti-technology, you know, caveman. And the reality was, it was about job displacement. That's why they were so upset. But if you look at what the Industrial Revolution did in the long term, far more jobs were generated because of it than were lost due to it in the beginning, right? So there's this labor curve that occurs. And how do you address that labor curve? Well, we've just come full circle in our conversation because, again, it's all about training human beings.
Yeah, I was talking to a buddy the other day, and if he's probably listening to this podcast, but he owns a coding shop, and they do a lot of cool things. And he was like, of my development team, 50% of them don't want to touch it. You know, coders say, we're good, the way I'm doing it's great, I don't want to learn. He said another probably 40% are trying a little bit, you know, and they're doing some good things, and they're probably 2xing their output. Mm-hmm. And he said, but 10% of my developers are going just gangbusters on it, and they're like 10 and 20xing their output, doing phenomenal things. And he's like, but it's just, but to your point, there's some ones are just stuck, like, I don't want to do this, and some are just pushing ahead, and they're, you know, doing light speed up, like sprints and everything, and coding and everything. But I think that's an area a little easier. That's the path to AI is a little you know, more defined.
Yep.
But to your point, some are going to say no, some are going to be stagnant, some are do a little bit, and then some are just going to go absolutely, you know, crazy with it and really show what all it can do.
History pro tip: the Luddites have never won, not once.
Yeah.
Not once. So be the one who embraces it. Be the one who learns it, because it's not, you know, people worry about job displacement, and it's not really about job displacement. It's about job enablement. If I can hire a team of 10 people, there's two choices. You know, the naysayers and the fearmongers are saying, well, he's just going to fire 2 of them and replace them with AI. And the alternative view is, what is a business there to do? A business is there to take smart risks, do some investment, get some return on that investment. That's what a business is there to do. Yep. There's lots of things we talk about all the time in the business world, like acceleration is a great word we love to use in the business world. Well, instead of firing those 2 people and replacing them with AI, what if you use AI to complement all 10, and now you're producing 20 people's worth of work for the cost of 10 people?
Yeah.
Wait a second. Now you're the one who's in the competitive market, and your competitors that are firing people are lagging behind, right?
Yep.
Like, so you know, it's always important to characterize these things and think about the human impact. It's absolutely vital to think about the human impact. But if the humans double down and you double down on the humans, it's going to be a win for everybody in the long run. Absolutely, it will be.
Yeah. So, Alan, let's take your story as an example. You're a CISO that's kind of taking the charge. You're the champion within your organization. You've got support from the top, the CEO kind of taking that secondary role as the chief AI officer. But not every organization is that progressive.
No.
What would you say? So you've got two roles to play. One, be an advocate, make it safe, and then two, educate around the bad things like we started the show with deepfake or video, audio, all the different things. For less mature organizations, for leaders that maybe haven't taken the step you have, where do they start? How are you guiding them?
So I think keeping all AI out of the shop but LLM to start, so everyone can get a toe dipped in the pool, right? Don't get into the agentic stuff, and unless there's a specific department with a specific need that knows what they're doing, and it's like, hey, you know, there's lots of cyber solutions, for example, that use agentic AI now, where you can definitely see the value in the gain, but you have to be cautious about, you know, it's just like any other cloud story, any other privacy story. Whose data? Where's it going? What are they doing with it? What do they see? You know, where is my, you know, all those kinds of questions. Nothing changes if you've got a strong vendor assessment program. It's no different than assessing a SaaS app from that perspective. So you can allow the little agentic stuff here and there departmentally, if you will. But if you really want to get people's interest and get them captured and get them going with it, you know, ChatGPT is viewed as this sort of goofy novelty. For most people that even do play with it at all, it's this goofy novelty. And one of the things I love to do is, just like I talked about, I'm going to each and every member of, you know, each leader of each department and saying, here's some examples of what it could do for you specifically in the context of your role, your daily job. Here's some cool stuff it can do. And you can Google that. At this point, you can, in fact, you can ChatGPT it. You can jump into an LLM and ask it what it's good for, and it'll give you some great answers, right? So don't be afraid to engage in and explore it. And the other thing I always tell people to do too is, whatever your hobbies are at home, jump on the AI and play with it in that context. Use it at home. Just sign up for a free LLM, you know, whatever. Pick one and go. You can see very quickly the strengths and the weaknesses and where you have to sort of refine your requests to it. And lo and behold, you're learning prompt engineering before you even realize it, right?
Yep.
I'm an unabashed video gamer. I've been a video gamer since, you know, 80 or 81, I think, is when I started. And I still play RPGs, you know, when I have time. As a CISO, of course, that's a rare commodity. But
you got plenty of time. Relief.
You know, I will jump into ChatGPT. I got a personal account at home. I jump into ChatGPT, and I signed up for the $25 a month plan or whatever it is, and I literally have it designing video game characters for me. The part of the job it used to be spreadsheeting and spreadsheeting and spreadsheeting and spreadsheeting, and then you jump in the game and actually play the game. Like 4 hours of work for 1 hour of gameplay was the old model. And now it's an hour of ChatGPT and an hour of gameplay as the model. Like when I have time to game, I'm actually getting to game more than plan more because I've got ChatGPT doing my work for me. Yeah. I've seen people use it in the kitchen for recipe stuff. I've seen people use it on how to fix cars when they're the kind of, you know, like I've got friends that are hardcore gearheads that buy and restore old cool cars. You can use it for that. You can use it for just about any hobby you have. And it's just like we talked about, again, full circle, security awareness training, hit them where they live, talk about how it might impact them at home, gift cards, games around the holidays, these kinds of things. Show them where ChatGPT can benefit their personal lives, their hobbies, their family stuff, their fun. Teach them how it's a more sophisticated search engine. And of course, again, guardrails, teach them what hallucinations are and show them what prompt engineering is like to overcome those hallucinations. And if you can get everyone playing with it in that context where you capture them at where they live, you capture them at that human moment of their lives, they'll come back to work and immediately be the ones brainstorming on how it can better be used at the workplace too.
Yep.
I love it, man. The AI innovative driving CISO, man. This is great.
Yep. And Alan, I just want to underscore your point, because I think you're talking about starting small, applying it to your home life, translating it to your work life. When you gave some of the work examples, it's like starting with the basics. Did you see the MIT NANDA study that kind of claimed, it was a shocking headline, but it said 95% of enterprise generative AI pilots fail to deliver meaningful or measurable financial results. But then if you read past the headline and get down into it, it said a lot of the big complex, you mentioned don't jump right into agentic, programs were failing because they were not adapting to business process and workflow, and they were moving too fast. Right. But it also said the experimental individual use of AI was like through the roof. Yeah. So I think to me that's the big lesson. Like, let's not jump for building the third floor. Like, let's learn the foundation. Let's do some basic stuff. Let's stay on Gen AI before we're trying to automate our SAP backend with custom workflow.
Right. Get your white belt and your yellow belt, if you will.
Yeah.
And then think about your departmental needs and think about a super simple use case where LLM can help facilitate whatever it is you're doing. We've got folks in my company that are already using it for just really basic stuff like, what's a good example? I've had 20 emails back and forth with this one guy in this other department, and I've lost track of all the threads and the whatever. Hey, LLM, jump onto my email threads, concatenate all that, gather it, tell me what the latest is. There's another really simple one with some of these tools. I will literally log into an LLM in the morning and say, what are my action items? What are my open things? Based on email and Teams chats both, whatever it might be. Like, what's going on? What do I have that's delayed? Or I promised somebody I'd do a thing and haven't followed through, or somebody's asked me a question I haven't answered. And it'll literally just spit all that out and give me my punch list for the morning. Whenever I have free time and no meetings, I'm consulting LLM to turbocharge my to-do list and what I'm behind on, and really basic little stuff like that. Concatenate this email thread, summarize these 18 documents this one team sent me that I don't have time to read all of them, and there's a million and one little examples like that. And start small, start with those little things, and see the value, and then start. It'll trigger you to start imagining bigger use cases.
Yeah, you're spot on. I've had this problem that probably no one else has, but I get a lot of emails, and sometimes I read them and I forget to respond to them. So to your point, I'll pop an AI and say, hey, like, what did I forget? And lo and behold, it's like, here's 4 things. And I was like, because I don't get the time to sit there and just scroll through every email or newsletter I get and go for it. So yeah, to your point, saves me hours on end.
Another fun one that we do, my senior director of cyber ops and I co-authored a prompt. We went back and forth for days on this prompt. And we now issue a daily report to ourselves from an internet-attached AI LLM. And we basically walked it through. I want to see all the latest CVEs that came out in the last 24 hours. I want to see all the latest KEVs that came out in the last 24 hours. Cross-reference those to data center specific needs and concerns, such as, blah, blah, infrastructure, blah, blah, IT, OT, yada, yada, yada.
Love that. Yeah.
Summarize the headlines from the following 6 or 7 public cybersecurity news sources, et cetera, et cetera. At this point, the prompt is like a page and a half.
Yeah.
And every morning, without fail, we get this lovely little report, and we immediately, share it with the team. And we've been fine-tuning our prompts and getting it tighter and tighter and better and better. And we've even got it referencing MITRE ATT&CK now and all kinds of cool stuff. And it's just this cool daily report waiting for me. Like, yo, heads up, there's this one CVE that there's now a KEV for. And if you look at MITRE, it's actually this and this attack, kill chain. And, I just...
Yeah.
What a great thing to have at your disposal instead of waiting to hear from someone else. You're subscribed to the various lists. You rely on your CISO peers and network. Think about all the ways and means in which the latest cyber threat gets to you. And think about the fact that you can be using LLM to proactively hunt that stuff and get it in your inbox before anyone else even finds it or sees it.
Yeah,
Yep,
look for any
that's
deepfake
awesome.
Allans out there.
So I want to end the show with one question and maybe a 2-part answer, given we've had a 2-part pronged conversation about the threats of AI and deepfake, and then also enabling it. And cyber leaders can be in the leading edge of this. So my question is, and imagine the questions coming from an employee of yours or in a prior company, and maybe she is similar to your aunt. Late 50s, maybe not that tech, not that tech up to speed. So the question is, what can she do? We're coming into October. If you had one thing in an elevator to tell her, what can she do to both protect the company or protect a company, as well as get more adept in AI and integration with the job? What are some simple things that you'd start her with?
So I always love to say something really simple, and it's a two sentences and you're done. The first one is go and explore on that personal level and play with it where you live, your hobbies, your interests, your stuff at home, whatever. I mean, people do, churches use LLMs at this point for things, and synagogues use LLMs. And, just anything you care about personally, there's a utility there. But the second sentence is always, and whatever you put into it, understand you could be sharing with the entire internet. That's it. Start with that awareness of what data goes into an LLM. Start there. What do you feed it? Start with that security concern. Then you'll have to address as you progress, things like, well, what about the data it gives back is incorrect, or what if it's been poisoned, or what if it, and you can start to get into pickle files are corrupted, and all the other things. But the very first and foremost security concern for Joe Average and Jane Average is think about what you put in there, but use it for creative stuff to solve little problems in your daily life, or to speed up things you do on a daily basis. One of my big cyber mantras is, every good cybersecurity company, every good vendor that's ever come out there, what they're really doing ultimately is, I picture a CISO walking down the same sidewalk every day to work, and there's a crack in the sidewalk. and there's this one gap where the tree roots have made that one slab rise, and you have to step over that. And there's a pile of dog poo from the same poodle every morning, and this kind of thing, right? And all you're doing as a cybersecurity vendor is you're saying, instead of taking that journey down that sidewalk for granted, stop for a moment and look at that little crack. Is that a feature? Look at that big step over that big thing. Is that a product? Dodging the dog poo, that's probably a feature. Maybe it's a product. But the point is, that stuff we've always taken for granted. Stop for a moment and imagine it could be done a different way. What if I quit taking this for granted? What could I do to alter it permanently and change it in some way that makes my life better? And that's the exact same mindset you want to approach with AI. How can I use it to improve this little bit of my life? Just this crack in the sidewalk. Even if it's not a great big thing, it may just be a feature. It may just be a crack, not a great big step over.
Be innovative, but be aware.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for Alan coming on the show. Thanks for your great style. Sorry that I'm 80% pulled it off today, but had a little fun doing it, and appreciate your willingness to do that and expose the art of the possible to others, and the awareness, the behavior change that we need, as well as really pushing into AI in a safe and secure way.
Yeah, Alan, great conversation. It was awesome talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys. I always love chatting with you guys.